Hello friends. Well, if you're a longtime watcher of this channel, you've heard me speak about mindfulness and meditation many a time. But today, inspired by a friend, I wanted to share a little bit about how to get started in meditation and why it is so important for us to have a meditative practice in our lives. Now, I realize that meditation is often wrapped up in kind of a mystical, pseudo-sciencey envelope, but that is a cultural belief. The science is strongly behind meditation. Riffing off of a favorite author of mine, Amit Sood, let's imagine that I could offer you a pill, and this pill would act as a powerful antidepressant and anti-anxiety medication. It would help you get better sleep. It would help you earn more money. It would make you happier. It would improve your mood. It will lower your blood pressure. It will lower your cortisol, reduce stress levels. It will improve your personal relationships. It will make you healthier and give you a stronger immune system, more resilient and able to deal with the cold, coronavirus, whatever comes your way. That is just the beginning of the list of what this pill will do for you. Furthermore, this pill is free and it has absolutely no side effects. We have not grown up in a meditative culture. In other words, there are some cultures, fewer and fewer in the world now, but some cultures in which meditation is seen as a primary important thing in life, as important as eating or moving your body. We emphasize exercise a lot in the United States, but in the past at least, we really weren't emphasizing meditation or mindfulness. Now that is changing as we learn how important mindfulness is, but a mind without meditation is like a body without movement. It doesn't mean that if we don't meditate, our mind may not be capable of some things. It may even be capable of some very high-level thinking. But a meditative mind is broadly capable. It is capable not only of that high-level thinking, but it is also capable of being aware of its own emotional state, not losing its temper, of being able to look at things more rationally, of not being blown over by every wind that blows in our life. That is the power of a meditative mind. It is, again, as simple and basic as moving our body however we can, whatever our limitations are, moving within those limitations to have the healthiest body that we can. We know if we don't do that, our bones are going to degrade, our muscles will degrade, our tendons, our ligaments, we will become less and less flexible, and over time, less and less healthy. Movement of the body, very important. Movement of the mind, vital. And I say this was inspired by my friend because he was saying that this may be the most important thing that we can do in our lives. That's a powerful statement, but I believe it's true. And the reason is that if we want to live in a way that is harmonious with the environment or with each other, if we want to have happiness in our own lives, if we want to have overall health and a feeling of well-being, fulfillment, these things can only come from a mind that has some sort of meditative or mindful background. If we don't have that, we are guaranteed to spend our entire lives on a quest that will never be fulfilled. We will spend immense amount of time earning more and more money, thinking that that will fill that gap inside of us. We will seek out all kinds of different gurus or teachers. We will seek out buying things, new relationships, anything we can to try to fill that gap inside of us. That gap that comes from not knowing what actually fulfills us. When we're not aware of that, we're just going to hear the cultural messages, and we're going to pull in this media product, these new clothes, try to get this new job. Anything that our culture tells us will make us happy and fulfilled. As the song goes, it is a satisfied mind which is much more rare than a person with riches. This is the greatest rich that we can pursue in our life, the greatest wealth. If you want to begin meditation, all it is it's the process of knowing what's happening in our mind. This is usually running on autopilot. When it's running on autopilot, we're not actually in control of what's going on in our life at all. Our life will just go whichever way the externals push us. And if the externals happen to line up in a good way, we will be happy. And if they happen to line up in a negative way, we will be upset, sad. And that is it. Life pushes us around. Meditation is about cultivating an inner state of awareness, awareness of our mental activity. Then, when an external comes in, I am aware of the effect it has on me, and I can stop. And instead of simply reacting, being pushed around by it, I can question it and I can respond. As I begin to do this, I start to learn some things about the world. I start to learn that the good and the bad things that I observe out here are not independently good or bad. That good or badness has a lot to do with the lens through which I view it. So that is the second power of meditation, is that as I become aware of my mind's activity, I then can choose the lenses through which I view the external world. When I do that, then my perception of the external world changes. A friend of mine was talking about a tattoo he got on the back of his hand. This was a pretty sensitive place. It could have been very, very painful, but by switching his lens, he experienced it in a different way, not as pain, but as a sensation. We do that with students at ReWild U, through going out into the rain, walking barefoot in the snow, plunging through the ice into ice water, rescuing themselves. These activities all help us to see that we have different lenses through which we can view the world, and we have a choice. But that choice only comes when we're aware of our mental activity. There are many ways to get started with meditation. The one I'm going to suggest today is what I call watching meditation. In watching meditation, I'm going to try to step back out of my mind and observe my mind's activity. There's a wonderful visual for this. And this visual teaches us one of the most important lessons that we glean from a meditative practice. And that is that our thoughts are not ourselves. We, by default in a non-meditative culture, have learned to identify ourselves with our thoughts. If I see something and anger starts to emerge inside of me, I am angry. I am angry. That is the verbal that we put onto it, and it is also the sensation that we have. That anger then consumes us, becomes who we are, instead of realizing that it is a transitory state. In fact, every thought and every emotion is a transitory state, is a temporary activity in our mind. And with a watching meditation, that's what we're trying to do, is to step back and observe the thoughts, the feelings, the ideas, any mental activity that happens, as if we are watching passing clouds in the sky. As those clouds pass by, we realize that that one might be big and fluffy, that one might look like a storm cloud. They're all temporary. They're going to move through the sky and pass out of view and new clouds will take the place of the old. That is how our thoughts work. If we stop and we close our eyes, we simply observe our mind's activity, you will begin to see those clouds passing by. These thought forms, these clouds, recognize that they have two powers. The one power is that they can grab onto our ego self, our sense of self, so that we identify with them, as we just spoke about. A thought can come by and I become that thought. And that way it sucks me out from the observer out here into the thought itself. The other is essentially the same thing, but of a slightly different flavor. And that is that thoughts tell a story. And thoughts will also suck me in to the story, so that I begin thinking about, oh, last night I really didn't like last night's meal. And I think, what could I make tonight that would work better? Oh, it started to suck me along. And it will continue sucking me along as I run through recipes in my head and maybe come up with other ideas about what we could cook, and maybe start thinking about my diet in general. I'm carried along. In both cases, through those two subtly different mechanisms, the thoughts pull us out from observation into becoming, sucked into that thought. And then it takes us away. But at any moment that we notice that that has happened, we can step out of the thought and realize that it is just a passing cloud. If you devote 10 or 20 minutes, get something like the insight timer on your phone and time it. Set it upside down so you're not seeing it percolate, not seeing the numbers go, and just spend that 10 or 20 minutes observing your thoughts. You can lay down if you want to, though that tends to have people fall asleep. The reason that in meditation we'll often use a posture or have our hands in a posture is because when we do that, it sets us physically into a mode of poised awareness. I hopefully will notice if I start to slouch or otherwise manifest in my body a slack mind. In meditation or mind, we do not want it to be slack. We want it to be strong, poised, aware. Now, if you sit down at a time, and the morning is great, when you're feeling awake and you sit in some posture, it's going to allow you to be present, and you begin watching. Know that your mind will get sucked into thoughts. It will be grabbed either by identifying with that thought or being carried away into the story, and it will be sucked down that road. Do not despair. It happens to all of us. As soon as you notice it, step back and watch the clouds of your thoughts again. Just observe. Remember, as a beginning meditator, and this will actually happen sometimes as you move along and become more advanced, but especially as a beginning meditator, your watcher and your thoughts are often going to feel very muddied, so integrated that you can't really tell what is what. And that muddiness, that integration is normal. As you meditate, you're going to start to separate those out so that you can feel your watcher and then observe your thoughts and your feelings. As we talked about before, sometimes those thoughts or feelings are going to reach in and they're going to try to grab the watcher and pull it in and start to suck it in. But you are going to learn to return again and again to just observing those thoughts and feelings. Just be forewarned that in the beginning, it's going to feel so integrated sometimes that it will feel frustrating, perhaps confusing. You just won't know what's what. Over time, I promise, this will start to separate out, and you will be aware of the watcher, aware of what in your mind's activity is the thoughts and the feelings. A meditation teacher of mine long ago said to me, when you do this enough, you're going to start to get glimpses of a land that is waiting beyond our everyday autopilot, thought-filled mind. And that mind is bright. It is filled with clarity. It's filled with love and compassion and awareness. It's amazing. And I will vouch for that. It is. There are amazing things waiting for us in the land of mindfulness. Getting there is going to require breaking through all these veils that have been put in front of us. All these veils that keep us locked into autopilot and just moving through life at the whim of life's tides. Now is the moment to begin a meditation practice. It is as important as any physical movement practice that you do, if not more. It is available to all of us. The effects of it are powerful and many. You begin with that watching meditation. Your mind will learn every time you bring it back into watching mode to become a little bit more aware, a little bit stronger, a little bit more out of autopilot, and you taking the helm of your mind's activity again. My family and I just started a morning 20-minute devoted meditative practice, all four of us. The two girls, 6 and 9, Rebecca and myself. It is never too early to do this. We don't have to demand anything of the little ones. We just invite them, and if they're squirming or thinking about other things, it's fine. Just invite them into that practice. Invite yourself into that practice. And if you do this, you take the challenge, I would love to hear from you. Especially after a week, after 2 weeks, after a month. What has a meditation practice done in your life to shift and transform it? I think you will find that a devoted meditation practice will do more than any other singular activity you can engage in to change your life. Share in the comments. If you're a seasoned meditator, please share what meditation has brought into your life. If you prefer a mindfulness approach rather than a sitting meditation approach, share what methods you use. And of course, share what methods of meditation you use. All right, my friends, I cannot wait to speak with you in the comments. I always love hearing your thoughts, your ideas, your wisdom. Love to you all.